Ladies and gents, welcome back to another video, another vlog of us going round properties in Wales. We are back in Wales. I do come and go between Wales and different areas of the UK quite regularly, but I have not caught them on camera. So today I want to share with you, well, the next couple of days, I want to share with you visiting a few properties out of the many properties that we have sourced in South Wales and show you a few different houses at different stages of the refurb. We're also going to talk to you about what makes a good deal, what makes a good investor that buys these deals, and we can also share kind of the costs involved, the money left in, and much, much more. But what I do want to share also is the fact that Property X is having a restructure. We've got a couple of new team members and we are growing very fast at the moment. And that is because of a couple of things. A, we believe in the strength of South Wales, the opportunity that is here right now in comparison to other areas of the UK where the prices are higher. And obviously when you're having to pay a higher price for properties, you've got all the fees associated to that, which tend to be higher as well. You've got higher refurbs, and unfortunately with the way the market is kind of trading a bit sideways at the moment, there isn't necessarily the guarantee of end values. So what we're doing is pushing into the opportunity, which right now is South Wales. It's the lower barrier to entry. It's the great investment potential that this has. Okay, we're doing this here. We're doing this in a couple of areas of the UK as well, but this is a massive, massive focus for us. So I want to, I guess, share some insights into that along the way as well. But first of all, let's take a look around this house and let me walk you through what's currently going on here. This property, which we have been to before, we've been to in a recent video. I say recent, it's probably a few months ago now. It took forever to get across the line in terms of conveyancing. So finally completed. The builders got in, I think just under a couple of months ago, ripped the place out, and I've had to go through the ordeal of the rewire, replumbing, putting up new walls downstairs, putting in the kitchen. And well, we're at the point in which obviously the plastering's happened, the mist coat's happened, the carpentry is soon to go on to your architrave, your skirting, and this house will really start to come to life very, very soon. But we've got 3 bedrooms up here. So we've got the one we were just in with that awesome view out the back of the rolling hills. You've got then 2 at the front. You've got this one here, which I would call kind of a small double. And then you've got the 3rd one just behind yourself or me now, which is more of a single stroke study kind of area. But this is kind of the perfect sweet spot in terms of a 3-bed. You wouldn't want the rooms any smaller than this. In fact, if they were smaller, then you'd want to make it just a large 2-bedroom. We find those kind of combinations, a large 2-bed or 3 reasonable size rooms, to be the best 2 layouts for kind of young professionals that are starting family, are kind of doing that hybrid work of home and some time at the office. So this is the top floor. This house is over 3 floors. Let's head down one. So in this room here, you might recognize it from a previous video. There hasn't been much that's changed. In fact, having some of the doors propped up and the window blocked kind of shows that it looks very similar in many ways. But this room, what has happened is there was a big old fireplace here which has been removed and it's been boarded up. Same at the front there as well. And this room will kind of start to come to life a little bit more in the upcoming weeks now that it's had the mist coat. It's a little bit rough around the edges at the moment, but that tends to look like this at this stage before the carpentry goes on, before that skirting goes on the walls, the architraves go on. It always looks a little bit rough around the edges at this point, but very nearly there. Again, once again, got awesome view, even from this mid-level out the back there. And it's like a really good living space. So when you come in the front door, which is just down here behind me, you've got a nice hallway, you've got living space. You either go up for your bedrooms or you go down into your kind of kitchen room, utility area. So we'll head down there next. Oh, and here's the team. Yeah. So this room at the back, again, hasn't changed much in terms of appearance, only the fact that we've got a wall that's gone up here. Again, we'll overlay some old shots of what it used to look like. This is where the kitchen was tucked at the back. Yes, there's likely to be a new door going on the back here. Obviously, you've got the window there. It's looking very dark right now due to, well, it is raining, unfortunately. And outside the back here, the garden has not been cleared. So you can see that's kind of taking away a lot of the light. But this is kind of your utility space, stroke where the boiler is now being housed, obviously access to the garden. And in the room behind us here, this is where the kitchen has now been moved to, which is actually a very, very typical layout for South Wales, because you've got that kind of 3 stories that you see quite a lot, where you've got your bedrooms, your living rooms, and this kind of kitchen space. For anyone outside of Wales, might feel a little bit unusual, but it's very much typical when we're viewing houses here. What do you think of the space?
In terms of as I mentioned, it's a very typical sort of layout, as in someone who would live in this area. I think what's really interesting when you're looking to potentially, as an investor, purchase a property, you may get from new investors pushback, like, they want to either view the house, they're obsessed about, this is not something I personally live in, I don't like it. But in reality, I think something we learn, which we preach to new investors, you need to focus on why you're investing for it in the first place, the numbers, the deal, and not obsessed about the emotional side of things, which is more about personally, would I like this place?
The investor versus residential homeowner mindset.
Correct.
Yeah, that's right. And I think in this particular area, as you said, with three-story houses like this, everyone's very familiar with that layout as a local, whereas it might not be as familiar to someone who's from London, but investing from outside the area. So bear it in mind when you're looking at the deals, and don't let it scare you off.
Yeah.
This place looks nice.
Yeah, 100%. Ultimately, where you're looking at it from an outsider, you're worrying that maybe you might not live there, but when the locals do understand this type of house, or they like these type of houses, if you've got a good kitchen, good bathrooms, nice bedroom space, good living room space, they'll rent all day long.
Yeah.
So then when you understand that, you can take your mind away from that, just think numbers wise.
Yeah, definitely.
Good, right, well let's move on to the next.
Is that all right?
That'll do for now, yeah.
Sorry, I tell you what's me.
Yeah, why are you pissing? I'm laughing. Did I say something funny? I can't actually remember what I said, to be honest.
Yeah.
I feel so staged, so pressured. It was so looking at me like,
Well, next time I'm hiring some trade actors.
You were just standing there like, oh.
As you said for this one, you took this one halfway through the refurb. So the plastering, give or take, is near enough done, but what they've had to do is sort of chip out to the plastering to do the rewire for things like light switches, you can see there. Obviously, I'd say that radio needs replacing. I mentioned about the double glazing. This window, you said, it's functional. You don't necessarily need to change at that, because if you do, you end up spending to make the house perfect, when really, you don't need to make it suitable, livable condition for the tenant. Otherwise, you're going and play out.
Exactly that. If you lived here yourself, you might look at that window every day and you're like, I really want to get new double glazing, but the reality is, it doesn't look great because it's so dirty, but providing the paint's okay and it's not blown, like you'll get another 5-10 years out of this. So that's something we do often recommend to clients is, look, we are going in, we're doing lots to houses. You can redo them if you want. That's going to be an extra £3,000 to £4,000 worth of cost if you're replacing all the windows in a house. Whereas you might get another 5 to 10 years out of it. If you can save that money, get out of the deal, and move on to the next one. But yeah, it's the same with everything really. You kind of look at it from a perspective of longevity wise.
Yeah.
Should I do this now? So like if we left, the guy before had tried to do the house, the refurb, he even got to the point of plastering it without doing a rewire. That's quite a messy one if that comes up later and down the line. If you try to put off the rewire and then obviously your electrics start to fail the certs and you need to get new wiring done, that's quite intrusive if you've got people living in here, because they're going to have to obviously channel out the routes for the wiring, and it's going to kick up a lot of dust. Whereas something like a window, or even just replacing the boiler itself, those are quite high ticket items. You can sometimes drag those on a few years, because when they need replacing, they're not too intrusive for people living here. Whilst we're here and we're talking, well, Steve, you might have seen in previous videos that this is probably the first time you're joining me from the capacity of us obviously sharing the fact that you work for Property X. You've actually worked for Property X for 2 years, but behind the scenes, no one gets to see you on camera, probably for a good reason, right? But Steve and I have been friends for 17 odd years. We went to college together, we met in business studies.
Call me my homework.
He used to hide from me when I was on the train, and I used to try and follow him to create a new friendship.
That's true.
But the reality is, like, often I think what I've realised with building out teams is often you're better to go for people that have got something about them, okay, or that you know. And I think for us, I know you, we know how each other work, we complement each other's skill sets. Yeah. And you've been working with me on Property X for a couple of years or more the kind of mentorship side. Now you're moving over to the sourcing side of things. I think you can really complement how we onboard investors, the deals that we find. So I guess what I'm trying to say is you're going to start seeing more of Steve in videos and talking to him, aren't you, if you come on board as a sourcing client. Anything you want to add to that?
No, only things from really lessons we've learned for giving value outside of property with people looking to build teams. I think work with people that are basically have something about them, that tenacity, that drive, and all our best members reflect this.
Yes.
The tenacity, drive, and authentic, and you have trust with. Repeat the 2 points you just mentioned there.
Yeah.
But I think that is every member of our team now, and the future hires that we may set to hire in the future. We straight away get that gut feeling, this guy's got something about him. This guy is literally one of us, as well as there's trust there. I was going to swear, but I won't swear. There's no messing around. It's literally, there's trust there, and he's straight arrow. And that's the relationship you want to work with in your team. In the same with, in business, that's the relationships that we want to pair with.
Yeah.
So in the same sense, we would always say, I think what we always preach, and the best advice we would give, is when you're looking to work with anyone, just find a company or contractors that you have that show those traits, because that's how we like to be, is very transparent, authentic, and fair in the way that we do things.
Yeah, fully agree. And that's Dan's not actually here right now. He's just gone off to a viewing down the road.
Yeah.
But Dan, but Dan, who we're going to go on to his project next, he was a member of mine. He joined my mentorship several years back, and we obviously have members that come on board and they get a range of different success stories. Dan was just someone straight away who had that tenacity, wanted to learn, he was really hungry for it. And his kind of initial goal was to try and do like a BRRR in his first year. And actually what he ended up doing, on top of doing his first BRRR, he's also gone ahead and he sourced a load of properties over the last couple of years, many of which we've passed on to clients. And I could kind of see how much of a valued asset he would be joining the team. So he's now joined us as the case progressor. So anytime you work with us and you and I will find someone a deal, then Dan will take over and help you get it across the line as well. So I really feel like we're building a team of valued people that I've got to know over a few years rather than just finding them online somewhere.
And I just want to add one more point to that, So in terms of a trait that Dan possesses, which again, this is a trait that I think we have, is one, taking a hell of a lot of action. But in terms of in business, a lot of time we realise something's not working, and the ability to pivot very quickly. And then we'll try something else. And then if that doesn't quite work, we'll pivot and try something else. So what Dan's done there, he's gone on with a goal. He's taken a load of action and gone, actually, right now, for my circumstances, I'm going to pivot and do sourcing. Take a load of action, and now been a credible sourcer as well, from actually learning how to do that and progress via sourcing properties.
Yeah, 100%.
So I think it's just interesting, again, straight away, same traits of what we possess, and it's just a good.
I think that's what we've seen in him, isn't it, really? So
yeah,
we'll ask him some questions next, because I think it'd be good for you to get into Dan's mindset and to how he's approached property, and also have a look at one of his projects. So we'll head there next. After checking in on several refurbs, we'd built up a bit of an appetite. So it was time for some coffee and cake over at the new hotspot in BRRR called Coco's, and it did not disappoint.
First impressions?
Magnifique.
Divine.
Next up, we visited one of Dan's own buy refurbish refinance deals to go and check on his refurb. This is a video that I'm going to release separately in the upcoming weeks, so make sure to keep an eye out for that.
Men working out, pumping iron.
Doing on camera, is it? Brilliant. Just what I wanted. I was hoping you'd get that camera.
Morning. Nice early start for the boys. Property X workout this morning, 6:30 a.m. Being away, no excuse. We'll work on the mind, and then we can work on the money and the investments. So we've all got in here this morning. Bit of chest, bit of arms, all the show muscles basically, and then we'll head on out there and get the work done. So we're back. I say we're back, it's day 2, and this is a different project. In fact, we've come to this house, which is just recently completed. One of our clients has bought it. This is a property in which I wanted to show you because it's at completely other end of, or different stage of refurbishment. It's not halfway through, it's not been finished. This is right at the beginning where the guys, the waste team, have come in to start ripping out the project. This is a nice one, isn't it?
It's a good house, yeah, really good size, good shape. Nice big garden.
Yep.
Sort of bay window at the back there. So yeah, really nice and light.
So what's going to be happening in this one, I mean, this is a really good one to show you because it's the kind of the daunting stage. Okay, if you've never done a project before, it gets exciting, the idea of it, and then you buy it, and it gets ripped out, and you go, oh my God, what have I bought? What have I done? But in reality, actually, the more you do this, the more this actually gets exciting, seeing what it's going to transform into. So at this stage, everything needs to happen, okay? So to give you an example, in this room, obviously what they've done is they've pulled back all the wallpaper. Fortunately, I mean, looking now, the walls aren't too bad in here, are they?
No, they're good.
Obviously, there's a lot of plastering that's going to be happening here, but there's full rewire, full plumb as well. Other than that, there aren't any really major changes in this room, certainly not to the layout. So let's head through to the kitchen. This is quite an unusual kitchen, I'd say.
Yeah, it is. With the bigger window, really.
Yeah.
Usually you get sort of galley kitchen, and then it's a lot slimmer, so it's nice to have the extra space.
That's right, yeah, you might normally have like units on either side, whereas I think they have to be a bit more creative of obviously putting the kitchen on this side.
Yeah, it looks like you've got old kitchen here, which typically you'd have like a little L-shaped kitchen.
Yeah.
Some of them just have that.
Yes, yeah.
So you might reinstate that, but then have the extra units over here.
What would do you think you'd do that if you were?
So
Yeah,
yeah, because you've then got the sink, little L shape here, and then some space with extra units and cabinets.
And then you've literally got the bathroom just on the other side of you there, which, well, there isn't much to show you right now other than a hole in the floor, which you're probably not going to want to see. So this is where the old boiler is as well. Again, that's all being changed. So it's literally everything starting from fresh. The only thing that isn't is things like this door is perfectly fine, perfectly savable. You've got plenty, all the windows really.
Yeah, all the windows good. Yeah.
They're UPVC and they're pretty much savable bar a few different handles and bits and pieces. Bit of understairs storage, nothing that crazy or exciting. But what's likely to go in here is probably a small, nice Howders kitchen.
Yeah.
Basic but very nice looking bathroom. Everything that you'd need for someone to want to pay top rent for it and for you to get top end valuation really. Something to note as well, the hallway floor, which is probably underneath what they pulled up previously,
Yeah.
is actually in
Pretty nice.
like pretty good condition, isn't it? It's like
Yeah.
solid tiling with a pattern on.
Yeah.
And it might not be to everyone's taste, but you kind of want to,
Add a bit of character maybe, or retain a bit of character.
yeah. But like utilize what's good rather
Yeah.
than always going over.
Always trying to rip everything out if you don't
Yeah.
need to, yeah. This bedroom's nice, good size. Will stay as is. You'll see next door there's another larger bedroom. That's going to be changed to 2 smaller rooms to make a 3-bed. But really here it's just about skimming over, making good, putting some skirts in, changing the arcs which have already been ripped out, retaining that window which is absolutely fine, and then give it a lick of paint.
And probably add in
some flooring, although
the flooring. Again, is good,
it's
isn't
actually
it?
all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad. So you could potentially keep it.
The other thing is obviously with the rewires happening, probably a couple more sockets, isn't it?
That's true, actually. Yeah.
Cool. And then this is obviously quite a changing point.
The value add is adding the 3rd bedroom, even though it will be smaller and split this room up. It's generally more appealing for families to have the extra little box room over where you are as an extra office or a small kids room. Typically you put a stud wall in here, bring it straight across, little L shape. You'd have a door coming into this room and a door coming in to this room over here. So you've still got a fairly decent sized room over here, smaller one over there, and then a 3rd over there.
Yeah, so like that room's probably going to end up just slightly the biggest.
Probably end up being the biggest, ever so slightly.
This one second,
Yeah.
close to it, and then
Yeah.
that's like a little study, is
A
it?
little study, yeah. And then the same again, skim it over, woodwork, sockets, and make good. Obviously the stud wall needs to go in there. So that's the major change in it.
And some people might be thinking about the 2 to 3 bed conversion thing. Like, you know, some will look at this and go, this is a really nice double. Why would you split it, create 2 smaller rooms? Everyone has their opinion on it. And the reality is you can do what you want as an investor, but if we're taking kind of emotion out of it, if we're taking our own perspective out of it, because my perspective is if I want to live here, I want a nice big bedroom. There are plenty of people that just want that additional bedroom, but more importantly, when we're looking at the numbers, when we're reflecting on the numbers, when we looked at the square meter, the size of this house in comparison to other 3 beds, this is a similar size.
Yeah.
So if other 3 beds in the area are able to achieve that kind of next level of end value and they're the same size, well, why not make this a kind of replica of that
That's right,
to
yeah.
try and achieve it?
Yeah. And we'll view others where this is ever so slightly in terms of its footprint, smaller, and that's when it doesn't work. This is sort of at the point where it does.
Yes.
And yeah, in those cases you have to keep it as a 2-bed.
It's hard to put a value on what a 2 to 3 bed adds in terms of value because it changes everywhere. But typically in where we are here, you'd probably be looking at comparables. 2 beds are about 10, 15 grand lower than the 3 beds.
Yeah, so it makes it definitely worth it.
A lot of the time when people are watching these videos, they love to see them. They love to see, I guess, our perspective on them. But what we don't always get a chance to share is what do things cost? And yes, I might say, look, what's the purchase price? What's the refurb cost? What's the end value? What I wanted to do in this one, given that it's a shell of a house, is give you an insight into the costs of the refurbishment, near enough line by line. We're not going to go into too much detail, but enough where it'll be very useful for you. So I've got the refurb sheet in front of me and I'm going to walk you through it. This house right now is the shell of a house. It's been ripped out and therefore there is a cost to doing that, okay? When the completion happens, you get the keys, well then you obviously need the builders to move in and start works. Well, the first set of works is tearing away what is currently here. So you've got obviously bathroom, kitchens, you've got all the wallpaper, you've got removing old pipe work, old wiring. So as investors, we might go, oh, well, that's not hard, is it? You know, just got to go in and rip it out. But it's still several days labor, it's doing it properly so that you can save the things you need to save and get rid of the things you need to get rid of. There's the actual taking away of it as well. So in this project, between the rip out and the skips involved, there is £2,500 allocated to that portion of the job. So that's the start. Then once the start has been made, once you've got to near enough got to this point, there's a few bits that still need ripping out. Once you've near enough got to the point where you've got the shell of a house, then you start to rebuild it. So in this instance, obviously we've got the rewire, that's coming in at £3,500. Again, because this isn't a huge house, rewires tend to vary, but obviously in terms of the size of the house, like most costs do, this one's gonna vary between like £3,500 and £4,500 for a rewire. Yes, before I carry on, costs vary in different areas. Everyone has different tradespeople, everyone has different pricing. I'm just trying to give you an inclination as to what you can expect to pay. Then you've got the plumbing, the boiler, okay? Big job. There's lots of pipe work in a house. Obviously the boiler itself is expensive. That's coming in at £4,500. So we're starting to do that first fix. We're rebuilding the house. And what you do before you do your plastering is obviously inset all that wiring, and you want to obviously do all the plumbing works as well. Then we look at the plastering. So plastering, you might think, oh, well, look, some of those walls look okay, but the wallpaper's come off well. But there's lots of bonding to do, there's lots of boarding, then you've got to skim, and you've got to make sure that it's done properly. So it's about £5,500 worth of plastering at this job as well. Once you've got then the plastered property, your first fix is done, the plastering's done, then the second fix kind of moves in. So now we've got things such as kitchen, bathroom, carpentry. Okay, so let's start with carpentry. Got about £3,000 worth allocated here to go through and put on new skirting, new architraves, new doors, okay, boxing in where it needs to be done as well. We've got the kitchen, which obviously variation still dependent. Typically, the guys that we work with, they'll work with Howdens. They're good kitchens, they're long-term kitchens. You can strike a balance between that kind of buy-to-let basic versus something that looks quite nice and stylish without it being too expensive. For that, for the kind of purchase, because it's a small kitchen and the fitting, we're looking at about £4,500 on this one. Bathroom, similar thing, not going too overboard. Buying materials, fitting it, you're looking at about £2,200. At this point then, the house is taken shape. Now you've got the woodwork, you've got the kitchen, you've got the bathroom, the finishing touches start to come in, okay? So you've got decorating to be done, which is £2,500. We actually have extra line items for tiling, which we want done in the kitchen and the bathroom. We've got £1,800. The internal doors, I mentioned them under carpentry. We've actually got an additional £800 for that. And then we've got the flooring, which is £2,500 as well. And one thing that I haven't mentioned, which I should address, is obviously splitting the bedroom, which that's stud work, which would have been done prior to the plastering, coming in at about £1,500 because you've got a new stud wall going up. And that's very much happening prior to plastering happening. Above and beyond all of those things, because I've pretty much gone through everything, just double checking now, which we have allowed obviously a contingency, because one thing that's really important to say with any of these houses that I show you or have showed you over the last couple of days is when we get quotes, when you work with builders, whether it's me, whether it's whether it's Dan who's doing his own one, whether it's one of our clients, we can't say for fact that things come in pound on pound. You are naturally, as an investor, always going to find that costs vary. Something extra comes up, you change your mind about a layout, you use a different product. An investor that thinks you're going to buy a property and everything's going to come in line by line, pound for pound, just not realistic. That is not the way property works. So it's better that you hear that now than finding out further down the road. But with all of that factored in, total of this one is coming in at about £36,540 for the refurb. So we've gone from one that's just started, project right at the beginning, to something that has near enough all completed. Okay, all that's left is kind of odd, small jobs like door handles, finishing off some painting, dealing with some of the snags, those kind of jobs in this project. But I wanted to show you one at the end just to give you that full kind of transformation. Again, it's very hard to visualize the transformation, but sometimes seeing it gives you that belief of it, all right? So this project here is coming in on like 3 to 4 months. Ideally, it would have been done slightly quicker. But again, you can't always rely on things just happening every week. There's sometimes just the odd delay here or there. But overall, very happy with the transformation on this one. The guys that have bought it and the clients of ours are really, really happy with what the builders have done. There's a couple of little snags, as you'll see, going around just where things need to be tidied up behind, pipe work and classic jobs like that. But as you can see, nice big open plan, living area. We've got the kitchen right at the back here. And where we're sitting is like up in the, obviously, we're in a valley, but we're sitting quite high up. As you can see, or what I'll overlay in terms of some B-roll, is looking out the back of this kitchen, you've got an awesome view and you're kind of looking out and down over houses. So it's a really nice view down one of the valleys as well, which is quite special. Again, I've looked at investment houses in all different areas of the UK, and this is something you just don't tend to get in other areas, particularly when buying these kind of lower priced BRRR deals. So it's quite special. But in here, classic, kind of Howdens, Greenwich, what I would say is cost-effective kitchen. It's not the most basic of the most basic, but it certainly is kind of the more cost-effective one, which you can put in a buy-to-let. It looks really smart, it's very practical, and we've just gone for the typical basics where you've got your extractor, your hob, your oven, obviously you have to provide them, you've got a space for a fridge freezer, you've got space for a washing machine, and then obviously you've got a nice sink looking out over that view as well. Perfect size for a kitchen. Again, this is a really good, typical kind of bread and butter BRRR deal, really. So just behind this door, so coming out of the kitchen, going in here, we've got the bathroom. Seems a bit weird, it feels like you're going underneath the stairs, but actually it's a really good use of space, in which you'll see that, well, on the other side of the camera, you kind of got this understairs storage, and on this side, obviously you've got your 3-piece suite. Yes, it's a small bathroom, but it's a really, really good and effective use of space. Typical kind of suite for what we'd recommend as well in the design of it. Just clean, white, obviously with your black accents, and then your nice kind of marble effect tiles on the wall there. But again, pretty happy with what the guys have done on this one. When we come to these projects, what we're really focusing on doing is obviously wanting to share what it looks like with you, but we're actually turning up when we go on these trips to update the clients as well. It's not fully part of our service. What we like to focus on is finding below market value deals, helping you through that process, introducing you to everyone you need, handing you over to a great builder. However, as part of when we're doing these trips, well, we might as well visit the properties, assess kind of how projects are moving forward. So whilst we're here, me and the guys are taking pictures, we're making notes, we're making sure the builders focus on finishing touches for the clients. But yeah, whilst we're in here, we've got a bedroom space, obviously a good sized room, and we've got the boiler tucked away in here as well, which can nice and obviously be shut away quite nicely as well. Moving over into these rooms, so you've got another bedroom just at the front here, where Steve's hiding out. Probably the best sized double bedroom here, apart from what's upstairs. So bedroom number 2, Dan's in bedroom number 3 here. Could easily be like a single or a study room. And then what I'm going to ask you to do now is follow me upstairs, because you've got this kind of obviously not permanent staircase set up, so it can't be classed as a bedroom legally, but we've actually got a really great converted loft room up here. And this is honestly awesome. It's a shame, obviously, the stairs aren't fully formed. You could obviously spend a bit of money, try to fit in a proper staircase. I think that's fine. I think someone that's moving in to rent this property will make that work, and you might have a child living up here. You've got a great, decent sized bedroom, and then you've got this, again, we'll overlay some B-roll because the window is very dusty. It's an unbelievable view all the way down the valley when the sun comes out. It's incredible, really. Again, this is a buy-to-let, and then it overlooks the kind of garden space, which is sort of half garden, half courtyard, which does need to tidy up, to be honest. But that's it. It's a really good sized house. Like I said, bread and butter. And this is what you can expect something to look like. Do I recommend, or would I say that you could go to higher levels of spec, different colors, different carpentry, you know, higher quality kitchens, bathrooms, etc.? You can if you want. You certainly would if you were flipping a property. But what we say is do the basics well and provide a really nice home for someone to live in, and a nice house that is going to hopefully achieve the end value that you want. So that's the house. Very good house. Very good area, in my opinion, as well. So.
Oh, sorry, it's just so. That does not sound authentic.
What do you guys think area-wise?
Yeah, I think very good areas, especially for the valleys in terms of where we are. Actually, Dan, wasn't this the area that you were telling me that was really good? But with this deal specifically, there's a bit of uncertainty on the end variables.
Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, so when we originally sourced this, there was a few comparables on end value, but not like super strong. So it was a question mark whether it would get 125 or 130 mark. But on the basis of the area and the capital growth, the strong capital growth of the area, we thought it was a really good deal to put out. So did the buyers of this. And actually now looking at recent comparables in the area, 130 is looking really strong, if not 135. So in that 6 month period, it's actually paid off really well, which goes back to the fact that it's a great area and it's going to continue appreciating. So yeah, solid deal.
Very much so. It's actually, it's amazing how much the things can change during the time that you're buying something, during the time that you're renovating it. More deals can get sold, like better end values can come to light, can't they? And this is like a point that we basically just really wanted to share, again, which I just don't think people are talking about, which is if you're trying to build a property portfolio, which is probably most people watching this and taking an interest in this, trying to build a portfolio off of only, no money left in BRR deals it's just incredibly hard, it's impractical, and it's just not really like the reality of how this is going to go. If you look at anyone that's had a lot of success in property, they're just taking massive action on deals in good areas. They stack numbers wise, but there is always going to be this variation, isn't there?
Yeah. And we were saying earlier, if this is the sort of deal which you could have let slip by, and then 6 months later, 8 months later, be looking at it like, oh, that was actually certain, if not going to achieve more than originally predicted.
Yeah.
And you could be back to square one again and still not having a deal. So, and that's,
Exactly.
I think a lot of people find themselves in that situation sometimes when they're searching.
100% agree, and I think that's where like speed is really important. Okay, we know a lot of people who've sat on their hands for 12 months because they're waiting for the perfect deal, and you've equally got someone else who's gone and done 2 or 3 deals in that same time. Now they've got cash flow coming in from the portfolio. They're sitting on properties which are starting to go up in value. They've learnt lots in that time, and I think that's just such an important lesson for moving forward in properties. You are never going to have 100% certainty on the variables. You have to take action and just move forward, really.
One final point I think is with looking at sourcing compared to, for example, Blueprint members, is that with Blueprint members, a lot of people get so focused about wanting to do things a specific way that they way want to do it. Whereas when we go, actually, the value of investing yourself, you could have had 3 houses at the point you've been thinking about doing this for 2 years. In the same way, for when the people look at source deals, they're so fixated potentially on X amount left in the deal in order to pull the trigger. However, if you had an open mind, again, like an experienced investor, you again, by actually focusing on other things like area, longevity of the deal, rather than this specific amount once the deal is completed and this is the money I've got left in at that point, you could potentially have a far better portfolio over the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Yeah, I think if anyone was to actually think about why they want a portfolio, like what's the dream portfolio look like? And they might go, oh, I've got 10 houses and it makes me £3,000 or £4,000 cash flow a month. when you get to that point of having the dream life, the dream portfolio, do you look back and go, oh, I'm so gutted that project I left a bit of extra money in, or oh, I wish I had sourced that house myself, versus oh, actually, I just got help along the way, work with a company that can help me find the deals. I think it's just taking yourself away from the way you want to do things, or the way that you want things to pan out, and going, what is most practical, isn't it?
I think the success of the end result, or whether that is for you, whether it's 10 years, 15, 20 years, that's what's important. And how do we guarantee getting that end result?
Yeah.
Yeah, very well put.
Yeah, not first year ROI, but 5-year ROI.
Yes. Well, listen, this is the team. This is who you're going to be working with. If you want a house in Wales, then you know what to do. And if you want a house in many parts of the UK, we are certainly sourcing good, decent, below market value properties. Yes, we focus on Wales because we see the opportunity here, but we are also targeting other areas. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed the video as always, and we'll see you in one very, very soon all together once again.